Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. Today I was going to talk about editing and how good editing really should work, but after doing my last video yesterday, I think I need to do a subsequent one to talk about complaints, and more specifically criticism, because I think everything needs to be criticized, not just the other side. I criticize the other side all the time, but I think our side needs to be criticized as well. comicsgate needs to be criticized, and that's what I did yesterday. I, to some extent, criticized our side yesterday, and a lot of people got their panties in a bunch. And you know what? I don't mind so much people getting their panties in a bunch. I don't mind them complaining and criticizing me. I need to be criticized just like anybody else does. You go right ahead. You want to leave criticism in the comments? I welcome it. I really do. But I think there are a couple of forms of criticism that really don't have any merit. And one of them I've heard from exclusively the other side. Mostly Marvel, but some smaller comic companies as well. And one of them I've heard from both the other side and from our side. Now the first one is that this comic isn't for you, so therefore you don't get to criticize it. So that is a ridiculous statement put out usually by Marvel. Because if you put a product out into the world, you don't get to control it after it's out in the world. You don't. I'm sorry, that's not the way economy works. And that's not the way our laws work either, by the way. There are plenty of laws out there to specifically show that, no, you put it out there, you don't get to control it anymore. And Mark Waid is learning that one pretty quickly now with the lawsuit that's gone against him. You know, there is a limit to where you get to control things, and you do not cross that limit. And so if Marvel or any other comic company is putting a book out there into the world, then no, they don't get to handpick their audience. And therefore, they don't get to say, you can't criticize this because you're not part of the audience that is meant for. And the other one is something that I've heard from both sides. And it's that you're not a creator, therefore you don't get to criticize. I'm not a creator, therefore I don't get to criticize. I'm just complaining if I'm not a creator. If I don't get out there and produce something for myself, then I'm just complaining. I'm not a creator, so I don't understand. And these two forms of, well, I would say complaining and criticism are not valid. Why? Because they're both based upon a false assumption. And the false assumption is that all knowledge is subjective. That is to say, both of them are proceeding, as I see it, upon the idea that you have to have very specific personal knowledge of a thing in order for you to understand and therefore criticize it. So, you see, that's subjective. It has to do only with the subject. You have to have personal knowledge. The subject is you. It's all about you. Therefore, since you don't have personal knowledge of this specific thing, whether it be a comic book, whether it be how to produce comic books, whether it be an industry, then you don't get to criticize it. But that's just subjective. I don't believe that all knowledge is subjective, that it has to do specifically with subjective understanding, your understanding. I don't believe that at all. And I don't believe that most of you out there that are my audience believe that at all. I say there is objective knowledge. I can take an object, like a comic book or the comic industry, and I can apply reason to it, and therefore I can study the object. Objectively, that's objective knowledge. That's how you get it. And I don't need to have personal knowledge of how everything works in order to apply reason to this object. Again, whether it be a specific book or whether it be the industry itself, I can criticize it. And the people who usually defend the idea of subjective knowledge by using those two arguments also fall into the trap of thinking to themselves that you can't criticize, all criticism is negative. And, you know, Sana Amanat has very specifically come out and said this on the Marvel side, saying that, you know, you don't get to criticize these people. They're creators. If you criticize them and you're not a creator, you're a destroyer. That's what she would say, and she has said, but the lighter form of that argument I've seen on our side, basically saying, you don't get to criticize these people who are producing these crowdfunded comics because you're not producing one yourself. Therefore, you don't understand. And it all comes down to the same thing. They keep on thinking that it's all about subjective knowledge. You need subjective knowledge in order to understand these things. Sorry, no. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I can study this object, I can use my reason to study this object, and I can criticize it. And because I can do so, and because there is objective knowledge, my criticism can be constructive. Because on the other side, people who believe about subjective knowledge, they think that all criticism is destructive, quite specifically. But no, if you believe in objective knowledge, you believe that criticism can be constructive. So that's why I criticize. I am trying to be constructive. Now, that's why I criticize both sides, not just the other side, but comicsgate as well. I'm trying to be constructive. No, I'm not a creator. I'm not a creator of comic books, but I am trying to help construct something, and that's a better, healthy industry. And I can do that by using my dollar, but I can do that by criticizing as well, because I believe, again, you can be constructive in your criticism. And that's what I try to do. And the other thing that popped up in the comments of yesterday's video was, well, you keep on talking about there shouldn't be any leaders for comicsgate, but you're just trying to set yourself up as a leader. No, I'm not a leader. If you've listened to my videos from the first, you know that what I try to do and what I always say is I'm trying to share ideas. I just want to share ideas with other people. I'm using my reason to study these objects, and I'm putting out what I have thought about it, and I'm putting out those ideas so that we can help make a better industry. And it's either by praising what actually works or criticizing what actually doesn't work. And again, constructive criticism. And I put those ideas out there. And I always ask for input because, again, I deserve to be criticized just like anybody else. And I don't have all the knowledge. I don't have all the answers. Certainly not. That's why I always ask for comments, because it's rare that I put out a video where I talk about something and there are comments which don't make me think about it in a different way, which don't give me another angle, another reason for me to study it with. That's exactly what I want. We need to share these ideas. We need to be reasonable about them and study these ideas so that we can make comics better. And we don't have to be part of a hand-selected audience by a comic producer in order to do so, and we don't have to be comic creators in order to do so. So, yeah, criticism is needed. Criticism can be constructive, and we can criticize both sides, and it's not being destructive. Part of the reason I think, I fully agree that some of the stuff that's out there which is attacking our side is destructive. It's meant to be destructive, or at the very least, it is destructive and people don't even realize it. I'm trying to start a conversation, either with you or with the other side. I don't care. I want that conversation to be around building a better industry. And I use constructive criticism a lot. I'll tell you that right now. So much so that, yeah, I suppose it's pretty easy to think of me as a complainer. But again, trying to be constructive. And when I criticize individuals on our side, and when I used individuals' names yesterday in my video, it wasn't because I was specifically targeting any one specific individual. It was because I was just using them for examples. But yeah, we need to be criticized on our side as well. And if you can't be part of understanding that criticism can be constructive, then you're not doing anything different than what they're doing on the other side. You're not doing anything different than those people at Marvel who don't want to listen to their audience, who don't want to hear any arguments from the other side. So all of that is a little bit of a preamble to what I want to do, because I want to focus my channel a little more on a specific kind of criticism, because I did get some good criticism. I mean, the reason why I want to do this is because I was criticized in my comments, and I looked at those criticisms and I said, hey, they're kind of right. So what I'm going to do is take objective norms of editing and apply them to a lot of ideas, and sometimes to books specifically, or any kind of work out there. But I'm going to start by doing big picture analysis by using these editorial norms that should be used whenever you are producing a product, and apply them quite specifically at first, at the very least, to the industry, if not specific books. And that's why I want to put out this new kind of criticism. I want to focus in on that new kind of criticism, because that's what we need in this industry. We need healthy criticism. I think that's what's missing. And if you don't agree with me, go ahead and criticize me. Tell me why you don't agree with me. I'm perfectly okay with that. All right, so I know it's a short video, but it's all I wanted to say for today. Hopefully I'll get into what I wanted to say again tomorrow with the editing. So if I gave you anything new to think about, hit like, hit the shield in the lower right hand corner of your screen to subscribe, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about my idea. Again, whether it has any merit or not. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.